Welcome, brave soul, I am the forgotten storyteller. Before we begin, tap that like button if you dare, and drop a comment below telling me where in the world you're listening from. And if you make it to the end of this video, I hope to see you in the next story. I hope you're ready, because I am. Let's begin.
Jamie hated the scratching. It started subtly, a faint tickling behind the wallpaper in his room. Then came the whispers, sibilant sounds seeping from the closet, too low to understand, but just loud enough to prickle the hair on the back of his neck. It was just a dream, his mom said, patting his hair. Old houses make weird noises, sweetheart. His dad, ever the pragmatist, added, probably just squirrels, son. We'll get someone to look at it. But it wasn't squirrels. Jamie knew it in his gut. He'd known it since he was a little boy, since Loki first whispered his name. Loki was his imaginary friend. He'd materialized around 5 years old, a comforting voice in the echoing silence of the old house. Loki told him stories of brave knights and hidden treasures, making the lonely days less so. His parents smiled indulgently, attributing it to a healthy imagination. But Loki had changed. The stories became darker, the games more complicated. Locking doors wasn't funny anymore. Hiding his dad's keys and watching him frantically search wasn't fun. Breaking his mom's favorite teacup made Jamie feel sick with guilt, even though Loki insisted it was just a silly game. The more Jamie tried to ignore Loki, the angrier he became. Things started happening in his room, his iPhone hurtling across the room, his teddy bear posed in grotesque tableaus, nightmares bleeding into waking terror. He was constantly exhausted, jumpy. At school, the teacher frowned at the disturbing sketches that filled his notebooks, spidery figures with too many eyes, lurking in the shadows. One night, driven to despair, Jamie had recorded the silence of his room. He held his breath as he played it back, praying for proof, something to show his parents. It was all static, a white noise hum that grated on his nerves. Just as he was about to give up, convinced he was going insane, a whisper cut through the static. "You belong to me now." That's when Jamie gave in. After Loki smashed his bookshelf into splintered wreckage, Jamie stopped fighting. He did what Loki told him to. He hid his mother's wedding ring in the garden, burying it deep beneath the rose bushes. He left the windows open at night, letting in the biting autumn air. He tore pages from his favorite books and burned them in the fireplace, the sweet smell of paper turning acrid and bitter. The worst was writing on the walls, using his mom's lipstick. "He is not your son," he wrote on the living room wall, his hand trembling. On his own bedroom wall, he scrawled, "I am still here." He hated himself for it. But when he did what Loki asked, the house was quiet. The voices stopped. The nightmares subsided. Peace, of a sort, settled over him. He told himself it was worth it, that it was better than the chaos and the fear. He clung to the false promise of safety. Then his dad fell down the stairs, a heavy, sickening thud that echoed through the house. Jamie felt a cold dread grip his heart. He hadn't been told to do anything, had he? The family cat disappeared, leaving a hollow ache in Jamie's chest. His mom started looking at him differently, her eyes searching, worried. One day, she found his drawings, hidden in a shoebox under his bed. Hundreds of them, all depicting him asleep, watched over by a horned, shadowy figure. Her face crumbled as she looked at him, a mixture of fear and pity. The final straw was the dining room. Jamie came downstairs one morning to find it utterly ravaged. The table was overturned, the china smashed, the walls smeared with something dark and viscous that looked sickeningly like blood. He broke down. He sobbed uncontrollably, telling his parents everything. About Loki, about the whispers, about the tasks, about the fear that had consumed him. He confessed to writing on the walls, hiding the ring, burning the books. He told them he'd tried to fight, but that Loki was too strong. His parents were horrified, disbelieving at first, then slowly, reluctantly, convinced by his desperate tears and the undeniable evidence of the house itself. They found an old journal in the attic, tucked away in a dusty trunk. It belonged to a boy named Eli, who lived in the house in 1923. Eli wrote of a friend who spoke to him from the walls, who asked him to do things. He ended his entry one day by saying he killed his sister. It was never found. Desperate, they contacted a spiritual medium. The woman, gaunt and intense, walked through the house, her hand trembling as she touched the cold walls. Finally, she stopped in the living room, her face pale. "There is a parasitic entity here," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "It feeds on children, on obedience. It is bound to this house. The longer a child listens, the stronger it gets. Eventually, it no longer needs a host." Loki knew. Jamie could feel it, a cold, furious presence in the air. He'd almost been discovered, almost exposed. That night, the house erupted. Windows shattered, a black, foul-smelling sludge seeped from the walls, and the lights exploded in a shower of sparks. It was a living nightmare. "Only you can sever the connection," the medium told Jamie, her voice firm despite the chaos. "You have to deny it fully, even if it means enduring its wrath." His parents, shaking with terror but resolute, led him down to the basement, to an old, boarded-up fireplace hidden behind a forgotten storage room. This, the medium said, was the heart of the house. As Jamie approached the fireplace, the air grew thick and cold. The boards groaned and splintered, revealing a gaping black hole. A voice, no longer a comforting whisper but a guttural roar, echoed from within. "Jamie," Loki said, its voice a thousand voices at once. "Don't listen to them. I will protect you. I will keep you safe." Jamie stepped forward, drawn by the familiar voice, the seductive promise of safety. He saw Loki, not as a shadow, but as a figure of light, beautiful and powerful. Loki offered him everything: power, family safety, eternal friendship. All he had to do was obey. Then he remembered the cat. His dad. His mom's wedding ring. He closed his eyes. He took a deep breath. And he screamed, "No!" The air crackled. The house shuddered. Loki roared, its beautiful form dissolving into a monstrous shape, a twisted parody of everything Jamie had ever feared. "You dare defy me?" Loki roared, advancing menacingly. Jamie stood his ground. He'd had enough. The medium, chanting in a strange language, sprinkled salt over the fireplace opening. His parents held him tightly, their hands trembling. Jamie kept his eyes locked on the darkness. He kept screaming no. Slowly, painfully, the darkness began to recede. The roaring faded into a hiss, then into silence. The house groaned, then settled. The black sludge receded into the walls. It wasn't over. Jamie knew it. He could still feel a faint presence, a lingering echo. But the power was broken. Loki was weakened. His parents hugged him, crying, finally understanding the true horror he had endured. They took him to a new house, far away from the old Victorian. They got him a therapist, who helped him process the trauma. He still heard whispers sometimes, faint and distant, but he learned to ignore them. He slept with the lights on, but slowly, the nightmares faded. One day, Jamie drew a picture. It was a picture of a house with boarded-up windows, silhouetted against a stormy sky. In the foreground, a young boy was huddled beneath a tree. He was safe now, but in the background, barely visible in the shadow of the trees, was a tiny figure in black. Loki. Still there. Waiting. The obedience was gone, though. And that was enough. For now.
Ready for spine-chilling tales that will haunt your thoughts? Subscribe to Forgotten Storyteller for eerie narrations, unsettling mysteries, and haunting stories you won't forget. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a story, because some stories refuse to stay buried. Join us, if you dare.